back live from the Illinois State Fair. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. It's another beautiful day for the Illinois State Fair. We're talking very mild temperatures this morning with a high of around 83, plenty of sunshine, and as you're seeing on our live cam, it's just gorgeous. The sun is right over the Carnival Midway. Just a beautiful sight here watching the fairgrounds come to life. But of course, a lot of politics being had at the Illinois State Fair this week with Governor's Day and Republican Day, Wednesday and Thursday, respectively, and gave us the opportunity to talk about a few other things outside of some of the more topics of discussion that typically comes along with what some consider silly season. But there's a storyline that I've been following and trying to get more information and really just more of an understanding of what's the status of a case alleging workers' compensation fraud that goes all the way up to Governor J.B. Pritzker's office with allegations that Jenny Thornley put the governor down as her supervisor, trying to get workers' compensation benefits for a sexual assault she claimed that investigations find never happened. So she ultimately was paid out $70,000 in benefits and workers' compensation. Man, I'm hearing some rumbling. Sounds, I don't know what that is. Anyways, it's off in the distance somewhere. But anyways, so we she got $70,000 in workers' compensation benefits, and altogether, I think it cost taxpayers $150,000 because of various, lawyers that had to be paid, and even surveillance of, when there's a workers' compensation case, sometimes they send out people to surveil and see what's going on. So it cost taxpayers a lot. Now, Thornley's already facing charges in Sangamon County for allegations of overtime fraud. Now, that's being prosecuted by the appellate prosecutor because the Sangamon County State's Attorney said they had a conflict. They were representing the Thornley family in a separate case against somebody over an alleged hit and run. That case is pending, so they said they had a conflict there, so they gave the case to the state's appellate prosecutor. But that's the overtime fraud case. The issues of workers' comp fraud were revealed from a separate civil lawsuit alleging fraud for workers' comp. And this was filed by somebody from the Illinois State Police Merit Board, where Thornley was employed. And ultimately what you have here is questions about why isn't this case being prosecuted. Previously, the Illinois Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, he had said that you've got the case being referred to the appellate prosecutor's office. He also had his office say that they didn't have original jurisdiction, but in that separate civil case that the Attorney General got dismissed, the Attorney General's office said they investigated it and it didn't seem like it was worth the state's time to investigate and to prosecute. So several different reasons given for not prosecuting this from the Attorney General's office. And previously, the Attorney General, when asked about this at a separate news conference in Chicago, had said that he had referred the case out. But then I got an email that I FOIA'd, and it showed that the state appellate prosecutor's office said that they have never received any referral through the courts. The courts have to order the appellate prosecutor to do this. So I was able to get in front of the Attorney General during Governor's Day briefly, and this is how that conversation went with the conversation about what's next for the Jenny Thornley case. Here is the Attorney General responding to some of my questions earlier this week at the Illinois State Fair. And give me 1 second here, make sure that this is good to go. And here we go.
The Jenny Thornley thing, there were 3 different reasons given, one in a letter to CMS, I think.
The bottom line there is that we referred the case way back. No, let me finish. You asked me a question. Let me finish. Way back. The state appellate prosecutor had the case. We had 3 cases that there was a conflict on. If there was a cover-up, we would not have communicated with the Sangamon State state's attorney and the appellate prosecutor who already had a case against Jenny Thornley. And so that's it. There's nothing else to be said on that case.
It seems though there are three different reasons given. One was no jurisdiction on authority. Another one was a conflict.
So what's your ultimate question?
Why isn't this being prosecuted?
You have to ask the state appellate prosecutor who already has a case against Ms. Thornley as to what their strategy is, which they may or may not share with you. We are conflicted out. I can't say that. There's only so many times I can say that. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, Senator Curran.
And then, of course, you see there that the Attorney General taps me on the shoulder 3 or 4 times and then walks off and refuses to answer any other questions about this. But the questions still linger. And in particular, a question is, what would have to happen in order for the court to actually appoint the special appellate prosecutor in this case? So Attorney Tom DeVore, who's the Republican candidate for Attorney General, he was at the fairgrounds yesterday for Republican Day, and I asked him about this case and why this isn't being prosecuted in his opinion, and here's what he had to say.
Kwame Raoul is deflecting from the Jenny Thornley case because the fact of the matter is that the governor's office in some fashion was involved in that lady fraudulently getting workman's compensation disability benefits. The governor's name's on the documents. It's crystal clear. And Kwame Raoul's office is the one primarily responsible for prosecuting workman's compensation fraud. Kwame Raoul lied on the camera when he said he had referred that case to the appellate prosecutor. The appellate prosecutor's office said, we've never seen it, we wouldn't do those cases. So Kwame Raoul is in a tough spot, and he's going to just hope it goes away because he should prosecute her for work comp fraud. If he does that, it's going to implicate people in the governor's office, so he's in a pickle and he doesn't know what to do. Well, one, Kwame's not conflicted. To suggest because he represents the state against her in the federal case to say he's now conflicted, any lawyer that understands our rules of professional conduct would laugh about that. You can be adverse to somebody as many times as you want, but to the extent that he believes he is conflicted, he can file a motion with the court asking them to appoint the appellate prosecutor. The problem he has with that, Greg, is if he files that motion, he has to tell the court what his conflict is because the judge won't appoint the appellate prosecutor unless the court's satisfied there's a conflict. What is the conflict? There isn't one. So again, he can tell you guys that all he wants, but there isn't one, and he won't file the motion because the court won't buy it.
So that was Attorney Thomas DeVore, again, reacting to the latest in this where it's still not being prosecuted. And the fact that it's not being prosecuted is something that rubs Senator John Curran the wrong way. He's a state senator from Lamont up around the Chicagoland area. And he's been following this case from the beginning, especially the implications of legislation that was passed targeting the former executive director of the Illinois State Police Merit Board, who is a former law enforcement officer, but legislation that was passed amidst all of the questions about the Jenny Thornley case that said that the director of the Merit Board can't be a former law enforcement officer, and it seemed to target Jack Garcia directly. So Curran was critical of that, but he's been watching the latest developments as well when it comes to the Jenny Thornley workers' compensation fraud allegations. And here is John Curran responding to the lack of prosecution in that case and what his hopes are moving forward.
When you see this level of inconsistency coming from the highest levels of state government on this issue, the Thornley issue, at some point it is my hope that the federal authorities step in and conduct a full and thorough investigation on this matter.
So what happens next is still unclear. We'll be obviously bringing you the latest in this, and I did search for any kind of court order to appoint an appellate prosecutor in this case. I haven't seen one, so we'll bring you the latest on that. The civil case that alleged the workers' comp fraud was dismissed in the circuit court, but it has been appealed to the appellate court, so we'll be watching that in the months ahead as well. So that's some of the latest back and forth on that particular case with some interesting political ramifications.